How's everybody doing? It's been an entire day. What you need in the building. We're going to talk some boxing. We're going to talk about the matchups over the weekend and try to keep it brief. So let's start off. The fight that happened on Friday, which was Billy Joe Saunders versus Martin Murray. All right. Martin Murray, 39 years of age. He's up in age. He's not as sharp. He's not as quick as he used to be. So, nice little tune up fight for Billy Joe Saunders. Martin Murray, you could see he wanted to catch and shoot. Martin Murray doesn't really use the jab a lot. He counters, so that allowed Billy Joe Saunders to get his range really quickly and then to look sort of good because another thing about Martin Murray is he kind of comes straight at you. He doesn't come off at angles. He's pretty quick though, and he keeps his high guard up. But for the most part, Martin Murray is not a guy who he's a tough guy and everything, made it to the final bell, but really didn't present much of a big challenge for Billy Joe Saunders, who got a unanimous decision win. Next fight I want to talk about is Anthony Yarde versus Lyndon Arthur. I never heard of Lyndon Arthur, but when I was watching the fight, I noticed he had a decent jab. But that's all he really had in that fight. And the thing that disappointed me with Anthony Yarde was Anthony Yarde didn't switch up his game. First of all, Lyndon Arthur was circling into Anthony Yarde's power hand. Yes, he was using distance control, stepping back when Anthony was stepping back. Another thing, Anthony Yarde wasn't cutting off the ring at all. He could have boxed out Lyndon Johnson and then started throwing his shots. Instead, you believe this? He was trying to out jab Lyndon Johnson. If a man has a good jab, right? First thing you learn to do is take away his jab from him. How do you do that? You counter him to the body. And since Lyndon Arthur was circling into your power hand, and that shot was there all night. He finally started landing that shot. The right hand to the spleen. So what you do, feint the jab, come with the right hand to the spleen. Slip Lyndon's jab and come in and land the right hand to the spleen. I don't know why. Another thing he'd do is, he would telegraph where his head's going to be. He would feint inside of the jab, feint inside of the jab, and then he'll lean inside of the jab. I'm like, you looking to get bopped upside the head, ninja? That's another thing I didn't like. There's a lot of things I didn't like about what he was doing in that fight. I had him winning the fight. All right. I had him winning the fight. There wasn't a lot of punches landed, but I had him winning the fight, even though Lyndon Arthur's the guy that won the fight by split decision. But he should have gotten that guy out of there. He should have gotten Lyndon out of there. He had the power to do so. He had rocked him a couple times in the 12th round, particularly. He was closing the distance, but he was constantly trying to basically come through the front door and out jab a jabber who has reach advantage on you. And you're only using one way to close the distance. Like, there's only one way you know how to close distance. So you're inching it. Instead of cutting a different angle or feigning as if you're going to inch in and then slide in and land that right hand to the spleen as the guy's spinning out. I don't understand why he didn't do that. He did it in the 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds. Finally was crashing the guy. He closed the distance. He was gradually closing the distance on the guy, to be honest. And even his trainer was telling him, this guy, he's just going to run from you all night. And he ain't got nothing to offer you. And yes, his right hand, he threw the right hand a couple times, when Anthony tried to be played, just run through the front door. But again, it's like Anthony doesn't slip the jab. He only slips the jab one way. I don't understand. And another thing, he doesn't slip the jab, for example, I'm a southpaw, so let me think of it. So let's say I'm an orthodox fighter, right? Let me show you. So let's say I'm an orthodox fighter, right? I'm orthodox, right? Okay. Anthony is looking to slip the jab this way. So he's constantly slipping this way. All right. Sometimes he keeps his head off the center line this way, right? Here's the thing I didn't understand. Why did he slip the jab here and pop his jab here? Okay. Well, let me pop it towards you guys because it looks like I'm just doing like this. Pop it right there. Okay. So I slip the jab. Wow. And I come in. I slip, slide. You see? Slip, slide, body shot. Okay. You see it there? I mean, sometimes you can slip this way, okay, as if you're gonna throw a jab, and then you can either slip under or you can slip back. You swivel here, you swivel there, boom. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't do that. So I never quite understood what he was doing. You know, never quite understood that, right? And he started doing it because Lyndon would keep on spinning out towards his power hand, and he wouldn't cut off the ring. He's just following the guy in a circle around and around the ring. Never quite understood that, right? Has a lot of skill, has a lot of ability, has a lot of reflexes, but for the wrong fight, in my opinion. All right. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand. Sometimes he put his two hands up and he picked the shots off and come to the inside, and then he wouldn't, like, it's like he was conserving energy or something. I don't know what it was, but I don't understand. He should have made it either rough and rugged, or he should have gotten to the inside of this dude and started working on the inside. Any guy who could fight on the outside and he's doing well, what you gonna do? You're gonna try and capitalize and see if he can work on the inside. You close the distance on him, right? And it's like Anthony Yarde, either he didn't know how to close the distance or he decided he wasn't going to close the distance. I'm not too sure which one it was. I think it was more of the first. But nonetheless, that's not something you do. You don't try to out jab a guy that has longer reach than you. And you're not even trying to disable his jab, take it away, land a body punch or something. I didn't understand it. So, yeah, he lost that fight. Let's talk about the other fight. Aerospace versus Danny Garcia. I predicted that it would be a unanimous decision win for Aerospace, but I was trying to suggest things that Danny Garcia could do. Now, of course, Danny Garcia can't act outside of Danny Garcia, as the telecast was saying, and Joe Goosen and so on. And Errol Spence's jab was giving Danny all kinds of problems. Danny was trying to counter Errol. Was trying to counter him. His Angel was trying to explain to Danny that you can't just be counting, sitting back, waiting on Errol Spence to counter him. You got to initiate. You got to be first. Well, everybody knew that. But how do you go about doing that with a guy who's threading his jab in on you, who's landing lead lefts, and is bringing relentless pressure to you? Now, Danny did put some heat on Errol Spence later on in the fight. Started doing what he was supposed to be doing, but by then, Errol Spence wasn't really, he was more in a defensive mode and was allowing Danny to do what he do. Because Errol was kind of dictating the whole fight. He dictated from the opening bell. So, what does this mean? What does this mean for Danny Garcia? Well, Danny Garcia is still a very good fighter. And Danny Garcia, I was listening to Coach Eric Bradley, and he was breaking it down, about, apprenticeship, and that Angel should, probably get some more help for his fighter and himself. And he was talking about how Sean Porter's dad, employed the skills and the troubleshooting power from Hunter, not Virgil Hunter, the other one, Hunter anyway, the coach, Barry Hunter, very very experienced coach, trainer, teacher, and it almost worked out for Sean Porter. You know what I mean? My thing is this. My thing is that two heads are better than one. I'm sure Danny Garcia knew what he was supposed to do in that fight. I know he knew he was supposed to throw more punches, but Errol minimized that by the angles he used, the angles of approach he used to get to Danny, the way how he used his jab, the fact that Errol gave Danny different looks. Errol at one point, one round, he wasn't throwing a single jab. He was just coming with the high guard, using his defense, but staying right up in Danny's face. Another time, Errol was he changed levels, was showing the face and pushing his head into sluts. Into sluts where Danny was just not going to hit him. He's sticking his head into almost into Danny's chest. But it's in a spot where it's hard to throw the punch. It's an awkward way to throw a punch to hit, it's just so sick just watching Errol do his thing and swivel and everything with the head. And Errol's so skilled, man, and he's so sharp with it. Like he was, this is sharpest I ever seen Errol. And I've seen him sharper against Danny Garcia. And the other thing with Errol was he was actually boxing Danny Garcia, but actually coming forward better than Canelo was doing it. You know, Errol was doing some crazy shit, man, in there. I was very, very impressed with Errol. Very, very impressed with Errol. Um, it was a one-sided fight, but Danny ain't no punk, man. When Errol tried to really throw off those body shots, Danny knew how to spin out. Danny knew how to change range. He knew how to get in on Errol. You know, and Danny's solid, he's strong. And like I said before, he's very, very strong. Now Errol said he didn't really feel Danny's punches, but that's probably because Errol was riding the punches. Like he if he throw a lead left and he's coming out, he swiveled the head to the side and actually spin the head kind of like a la Canelo. So if Danny was hitting him with a punch, he already took the steam off the punch if it actually grazed him. The arrow most of the time when he was really landing those beautiful sharp uh, lead lefts, you know, he'd land the lead left and then just he's in and he's out. He's in, drops the lead left and he's out of there. You know what I mean? The way how he shifts his body weight and shit, Arrow's so sick, man. And people say Arrow got hit flush with. I don't think Arrow got hit flush with nothing. I think he got hit flush with a right hook or something. But he always rolling the punch. He's rolling the steam off the punch. You see his whole head go with the punch. So he's not really getting the full brunt of the punch. Even though there was a certain point in time where I think Danny knocked his tooth guard out of his mouth or something. Or the tooth guard went flying out of his mouth. He said he was tired at the end of the fight though. And Errol came in shape. He came on weight. He came on point. He looked streamlined, slim, trim, and yet at the same time he was just so sharp, so sharp. I mean, it was ridiculously sharp. Danny did some great countering. He also did some great leading. He did some good lead work. He started taking the fight to Errol, but then Errol would control him. Errol, shit, that pivot work, man. That pivot work. It's ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous. The guy's got ridiculous pivot work, and it's so precise. And I'm telling you guys, man, that's what makes this guy special. It's his movement. He's very, very special. And I've watched him, he's strong and everything, but it's his movement. And I don't know if he's picking up things from Jamel Charlo, or what, but he got some special movements, man, and he's so well balanced. And what do I gotta say about Crawford versus him? Crawford is not as not as sharp as Errol. That goes without saying. I love to look forward to this fight because Terrence is a thinking fighter, but Errol does everything right, and extremely sharp. Like that's a Mayweather call. He has a sharpness even sharper than Mayweather, the old Mayweather that is. The younger Mayweather wasn't that sharp, but he was much more explosive. But I mean he's taking Mayweather's stuff and going to the next level with it. What's another guy that's sharp like that? Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis is sharp. That ninja is sharp. Errol's really, really sharp. Really, really sharp. At welterweight, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard to beat him. I don't care what anybody says. It's going to be very hard to beat him. This Spence right now, I don't think Mayweather beats him. At least Mayweather as I know him. Money Mayweather. I don't think Money Mayweather beats him right now. That's how sharp he is. He's really looking good. I heard some people say that was a boring fight, but they're probably Crawford fans, right? What about Bud Crawford now? Bud Crawford was there, man. That was good. Shout out to Bud. Bud making things happen, showing up to see what Errol could do. Bud said he wasn't impressed. You know how they are. They say they're not impressed. I was impressed. I was impressed with what Errol was doing. And I look forward to Bud versus Errol, which is definitely coming in 2021. Errol threw in shade at Bud saying, I thought he said that he don't need me. And they show up in my fight. But they know it's just trash talk. And I'm pretty sure they know The showdown's coming next year. It was supposed to come this year, either this year or early next year. It was supposed to come because, if the COVID didn't come and Errol didn't get in the accident, he'd have fought Danny early in the year, and then he would have had another fight at the end of this year, either with Pacquiao or Bud, because there's nobody else for Errol to face. When we think about it, who else? There's Keith Thurman. That's it. All the top dogs, Errol would have faced all of them. There's your Dennis Ugas, but he's not a top dog. You know what I mean? He's a top dog, but he's not Pacquiao. You know what I mean? So there's Pacquiao, and then there's Bud. That's what's left. Because Terrence Errol said he's not facing Keith Thurman. So he's going to just blank Keith Thurman. So there is Bud and Pacquiao. That's what's left. Errol just got Bud and Pacquiao to face, and that's it. And if he wants to, he could have Keith Thurman. But at the end of the day, I think that, to be honest with you, I don't really care to see Errol versus Keith Thurman anymore. I used to want to see it, but I'm not interested in it because Keith Thurman to me is behaving stupid. Keith Thurman's behaving stupid, and he pulled rank on a lot of people, including Aerospace. He didn't want to face Errol, whatever. So he got his Pacquiao. So Keith Thurman should shut the hell up. Okay. I don't even care if Keith Thurman faces Bud, to be honest with you. Bud's looking forward to facing Keith Thurman. But Keith Thurman is behaving stupid, in my opinion. And that's just the way I feel about it. And I was a big Keith Thurman fan, But Keith Thurman's moving in a kind of dumb way, in a shady sort of way. And I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about it, Keith Thurman. And I do want to see, though, Errol versus Bud. And I think we're going to get that next year. Either the end of the year or in the middle of the year. Either in June or September or October, somewhere there. We're going to get Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. I really, truly believe that. Blue Blood Sports TV was saying that, Bud should try and face Errol next because, Errol, if he gets a taste of the southpaw look, a top tier southpaw, that he'll be ready for Bud. But what Blue Blood Sports TV forgets is Errol has faced three southpaws in his career so far. He faced Emmanuel Lartey. That was early in his career. That was a southpaw, undefeated guy, African guy. He also faced the South African guy, El Hardin or something like that. I forgot what the guy's name is. But Chris Van Hardin. And he stopped him. He was all right, southpaw. And then the other mixed switch hitter, actually, was Leonard Bundu, who was a switch hitter. And he stopped him. So he's faced, lesser level, but he's faced guys who have been switch hitters and southpaws. So what Terrence Crawford brings to the table is not really anything particularly special. It's just that, Errol will have, it will be a higher quality of stuff. But, Blue Blood's thinking like, Errol never faced a top tier, southpaw and stuff. And I'm like, but he's faced southpaws before. And he handled them. All of them. So it's like, I don't think he'll have a problem with southpaws at all. And even though he is a southpaw, I don't think he's going to have a problem with southpaws. And with respect to Bud, I believe, has Bud faced southpaws in his career? I think so. I think he has. It doesn't really matter, though. Doesn't really matter if he has or hasn't. He'll make adjustments, just like Errol will make adjustments. So I don't think there's too much of a problem. The question is, who will get to face Manny Pacquiao next? If anybody will get to face Manny Pacquiao next. Will Manny Pacquiao, it's up to Manny Pacquiao, right? Will he face Errol Spence? Or will he face Terrence Crawford? Or will he face somebody else? That is the $100 billion question, right? Will he face Mikey Garcia? We don't know. And that's up to Pacquiao. You know what I mean? So those are the fight matchups. Those are the fights. That's my breakdown on what happened over the weekend. Um, I always think I did one prediction, and my prediction was correct. So we look forward to the upcoming fights that will be coming up in the future. But until then, I'm what you need. Hope you guys have a good one. Oh, there's one more thing I want to talk to you guys about. So let's do a little bit of politics, but we might as well talk about it. So Joe Biden has won the election. I spoke the last time about the responsibility that we have, the legislature, the representatives of the people, the senators, the congressmen, the governors, etc., have to the people. And right now, the people are hurting and they need relief. And it's interesting hearing that they're trying to get some legislature passed so that there can be some relief to the people economically. That is only one step. Now, let me just make this abundantly clear that in the government to be, Joe Biden's government, it needs to be representative of all the people. That includes, the left-wing progressive people of the party. All right? You can't just be representative of the moderate left and the moderate right. You also have to represent the progressive left. All right? And that's important because the whole reason people voted for Donald Trump was because a lot of those people didn't feel they were reached by Barack Obama, even though Barack Obama tried his best within the framework of the environment he had to go into. Okay. And I thought he did the right thing given the situation that he had. But now this situation calls for much more mature advancement and inclusion of the progressive left, which a lot of the urban people are. So, the progressive left stance is very important. And particularly when I say progressive left, I'm talking about changes and measures where people can have confidence and trust that justice is going to be served on several different levels, systemically speaking. Okay? And let me explain what I mean. So, while the progressive right, because there is a progressive right as well, and moderate right, the progressive right, I'm talking about the progressive Republicans, must be heard and received. There is a sect of Republicans, which I call them a sect or a cult, they're not in reality, okay? That group is going to be difficult to reach them, but I believe once the economic situations and their needs are met, I'm not talking about the racist ones. I'm talking about the average ones who believe some of the wacky shit that's going down because they're the ones who want to be survivalists and think the world's going to end and, some crazy shit like, they believe conspiracy theories, the New World Order, that kind of stuff. Those kind of people. Which they're not crazy to say New World Order, but I'm just saying. For those people, you reach them by letting them see, hey man, the world's going on and checks and balances are in place and people are guards to certain things if people try to go too far one way or the other. And you need to carry on with your life and be productive and helpful to the people around you, not just absorbing conspiracy theories. And here are opportunities for you to do what you do best. So I think those people come on board because remember, the world right now, especially for middle class people and for people who work hard and poor class people, is difficult. The big businesses have been bailed out and they've been treated very, very well for misbehavior. and they've been able to abuse the system. Under Donald Trump, they did very well. Under Barack Obama, they did very well. But everybody was there was a trickle down effect. Everybody was getting something. It wasn't enough, but everybody was getting something. You know. Um. So the very wealthy, they have been doing well. The